guys, so I've been farming for over 5 years, and in those 5 years I've not only made millions of dollars in terms of revenue from the different farms, but I've built out 2 farms. One of them over 400 acres, another one 3 acres. And on those 2 farms, I've done combined over hundreds of thousands of chickens, producing millions of eggs. Those are table eggs that are consumed, and millions of day-old chicks that I've sold on the market. Over this time, I've built out great wealth, and I've also taught a lot of people how to actually make money and build farms. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some great tips from my 5 years of experience and from my experience of running these great different farms on how you can actually start and build your farm. These tips are going to completely blow your mind. So if that is you, someone who wants to start and grow and scale a farm, stick around right through to the very end. First tip is that the location of the farm matters way more than you had imagined. Yeah. So initially, when I started out, I knew that I had to start a farm. And for me personally, I started the farm at a location which was ideally a location of my convenience. It's because I didn't have land anywhere, and as you might already know, starting a poultry farm or starting any form of farm usually requires land. You're not going to grow things in the air. Even air, I mean, you're going to put it over someone's land. So you're going to need some form of location somewhere. For me, because I didn't have land and I didn't know how to start the farm, I started the farm on my dad's land, and at that particular point it was a place of convenience. However, I was so lucky that it turned out to be one of those perfect places where I could start a farm, because the demand for the product at that time, it was eggs, was very high in the area. I completely had no idea until I started producing. That's number one. Number two, the supply of raw materials was not complicated because, you know, the farm was located quite far away from city centers. So I mean, it's in agricultural areas where people grow maize and all these kinds of things. So that's not something that I suffered over. And also, because I was not in a place where there's a lot of farmers around, the competition was much lower for me. So it turned out to be a very, very good thing for me that I actually started my farm in that area. And earlier on, before I started the farm, I thought it would actually have been a great idea for me to start my farm in a city because I was 100% guaranteed of the market. But now that I've been in for a long time, I've actually realized that all around cities, the competition is usually much higher because everyone imagines that they're targeting the market and they should be close to that place. And unfortunately, it turns out to not be true because everyone goes to the same place and the competition turns out to be very high. Then the cost of the raw materials, because they need to be transported from really far to be brought to that area, usually is also very high. And so your profit margins usually just take a hit. In addition to that, in addition to, you know, the competition and the prices of everything, when it does come to broilers, there are communities, especially in rural areas, where people don't eat chicken. Yeah, they don't eat, you know, broiler chicken and all this kind of stuff. The only thing that they want to eat is their local chickens. And so here you are, you come and produce for them a product. What is this product? Your product is, you know, broilers. No one gives a damn about them. They only want their local chicken. So you need to be very, very careful. It's not only about your convenience. It's after I started, I had been lucky about this, that it actually turned out to be a great idea. Now, in addition to that, you have other things to consider. Things like, you know, proximity to other farms. Yeah, the closer your farm is to other farms, the more likely it is that you'll get a disease outbreak on your farm. For me, my farm is quite isolated from other poultry farms, so it minimizes the risk of me getting disease outbreaks on my farm. But for a lot of other people, I've seen a lot of people's farms that are in places where there are too many poultry farms. I mean, it just gets is because you all interact in the same places. I mean, probably it's the town, the small little town where people go to buy groceries and all that kind of stuff. All of you will meet in that area, and so it's quite easy for you to, you know, pick up diseases from this person, from this person, from this person, and bring them back to your farm. So if you can isolate your farm, keep it as far away from other people's farms as possible, it also minimizes the risk of you getting diseases. Since I got my first disease outbreak, I think it's been like 3 years now since I got a proper disease outbreak on the farm, and I believe one of the main reasons is because my farm is, you know, quite far from other farms. So the location of your farm plays such a huge role in your success. My second tip is put the money where the money is. Yeah. Now, personally, every time I see people starting out farms, and I've experienced it with a lot of farmers, I've experienced it, I mean, with a lot of platforms. Of course, initially I was part of a lot of farming platforms, but also I interact with a lot of people who want to start farms, who want to do all these kinds of things. A lot of times when I get people who join the Farm Up Academy, you know, with the Farm Up Academy, we are training people how to start and grow and scale their farms and minimize the risk of them failing the farm. When a lot of people do join and they're telling me their plans about what they are planning to start, you know, and do on their farm, you'll find out that a lot of them who are planning on investing a lot of money in the construction of the chicken house, yeah? A lot of money. Now, I'll show you guys. You can see my chicken houses right here. They are built from, iron sheet, it's poles. They're quite strong and sturdy, but it's not the most expensive material that you could utilize for building your chicken houses. Same exact thing with the breeder farm. When I started out, I said with chicken houses like this. Now that I have money coming in, I'm starting to, evolve and get better chicken structures. But I had to put the money where the money is. Where is the money? The money is not in the chicken structures, yeah? The money is not in the fence. A lot of times you'll see someone who is starting a chicken house. Right here on the side, I don't know if you guys can notice my fence, but my fence is, yeah, you can see it right there, yeah? It's a chain link fence. It's a chain link fence. It's not like some complicated type of fence. No, it's a chain link fence. It was cheap for me to build, and I didn't spend too much money on it. I've seen people who have spent 10 times what I spend right here simply to put up a fence, and then when it does come to the thing that's going to bring you the money, they don't have money to spend on it. They don't have money to spend on the chickens themselves. They don't have money to spend on the feed itself. The thing that's going to give you the money when it does come to the farm is the chickens and it's the feed. And that's where most of your concentration needs to go. Your concentration shouldn't be on the chicken houses. Yeah? Chicken houses don't give a damn about how nice and how beautiful and how cool the chicken house looks. Yeah, they don't care. As long as they can breathe and they have food and they can sleep comfortably, they are well and good. Yeah, they don't notice anything else. So you need to make sure that only the chicken house is comfortable, the place is comfortable. As long as you do have security on the area, you don't have to have these huge fancy fences. Later on, when you do get money, you can build out these huge fancy fences. But until you get to that point where you do have the money, it doesn't make sense at all. Yeah. So you pay attention to ensuring that you actually put the money where the money is. This is where the money is. Yeah. Don't put the money in equipment. Yeah. Initially, when you're starting out, you can, for example, want to start with battery cages initially, but you don't have the money to do battery cages. Maybe if you do battery cages, you can only do 2,000 baht. But without battery cages, maybe you'll do 5,000 baht. Go deep later. I understand that it is certainly going to be a bit more tiresome for you, require a lot of work. But as long as you have the diligence to put inside it, you'll do your deep litter. It will give you the money. Since you have 5,000 bahts, that's 2.5 times what you would have done without the cages. And then later on, when you get way more money, you can do the cages. I'm personally considering doing cages in environmentally controlled houses. Everything completely automated. But it's because I've gotten to the point where the chickens can actually provide me with everything that I do need, and I can do that without worry completely. Yeah. So put the money where the money is. Don't spend money on fancy stuff. And then later on, when you have money coming in and you have great cash flow, you can now invest your money in other things. Number 3, do it as well as you can the very first time. You won't believe the importance of this. You see, succeeding and becoming wealthy and pushing through with something has so much to do with your mentality. If you believe in something, most probably you'll make it work. If you don't believe in something, then most probably you won't put in place the correct actions, or you won't even push through to make it happen. Yeah. Initially, for me, when I started out, I started with a batch of 800 chickens, and I was really lucky that it did well. Yeah. It wasn't like super profitable because the cost of the raw materials at that point was so high. I spent too much money on the poultry feed and all this kind of stuff at that particular point. So it's not like I had too much money to put aside, but it turned out to be a really good flock. I didn't have chickens dying. I actually made some money from it. I managed to get back all the money that I invested into the farm, into putting into the structures and the equipment and all that kind of stuff. I managed to get all that money back. So it turned out to be a good first project for me. And what that does is that it gives you the belief. It gives you the belief that you can make things happen. Yeah. Now, my second batch was really terrible. Yeah, I imported birds, I believe, from Hungary. They came in. I lost about 200 or 250 in the first few days. And then later on, I got a fall typhoid, disease outbreak. I think I lost a total of over 400 chickens. I saw the chickens before they even made 30 weeks old. I think at about 26 weeks old. In total, I lost about $40,000 on that batch of chickens. But because I had gone through the experience of having a good batch and, it turned out to be profitable for me, I knew that there's certainly just mistakes that I made with this batch, and if only I had corrected them and done them the correct way, then I would be making money with the other batches. So I had that belief on the inside of me. But if your very first batch turns out to be the terrible man, imagine for me if I had started out with this second batch and it had given me that entire experience. Most probably I would be like most people outside there. I would have said that chicken farming is a terrible thing. I just won't go into it. I won't try it out at all. I'm just going to abandon it. I'm going to leave it. And it's very possible. It would have been very practical for me, and it would have been very justified in my mind. just like a lot of other people say, for me to abandon it. And because of that, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Yeah. So it is very, very important for you that your very first batch is actually a batch that you do really well. Implement everything in that batch really well. Follow the correct guidelines, follow the correct principles, so that you do everything very well, so that the batch don't disappoint you. Because if they disappoint you, most probably you're going to give up, and then all the subsequent batches that you could have done, everything else that could have happened in the future will be gone, simply because your mindset has been corrupted because you've done the first batch the terrible way. So put in all the effort in the first batch to ensure that you do it the right way. Once you do it the right way and have correct results, it's going to give you the belief to go ahead. It doesn't matter how hard things get later on. Tip number 4 is build a faithful base of customers. Now this is really important because it helps you in the low times. It helps you in the times where business becomes bad. Now, I want to tell you that those times are going to come. I mean, don't be deluded to think that business is going to run smoothly, everything is going to be running very well. I personally have been doing this farming thing for at least 5 years right now, and I can say confidently that I have experienced very well and properly what it feels like to be in the market. So I understand that the market can, sometimes fluctuate, it will go down, sometimes the demand will come up. Yeah. Now, the worst mistake you want to make is to not build a loyal base of customers. And how do you not build a loyal base of customers? The easiest way of not building a loyal base of customers is trying to serve each and every one. That's literally self-destruction. What happens when you try to serve each and every one is that everyone who comes to you, because a time will come, for example, me right now on the farm, the demand is so much, like so much, that each and every day I just have people calling me and they want eggs, yeah, from all directions. Yeah. When I produce eggs, they never sleep around on the farm because the demand is too crazy, it's too much. But then a while back, I had a point where the demand was really low. I mean, my store was full of eggs, completely full of eggs. I had to keep buying extra trays to be able to keep these eggs around. Yeah. And those times come, those times will always be there. So it is very, very important that you understand that the low times will come. Now, when these low times you come, that's when having this faithful base of customers actually plays a very, very critical role. Yeah. Because if you haven't built a faithful base, what's going to happen is that, I mean, when the times come when the prices really drop low, people start looking for customers. And you are going to try to, steal your customers from you. They'll go and offer them the eggs at lower prices. They'll go and tell them, I'm going to start delivering the eggs for you and all this kind of stuff. But if your customer knows that you're the kind of person who has been reliable, even at the times, because usually what happens is that at times like this, when the eggs are nowhere to be found and everyone is looking for the eggs, people will come to you. People will offer you. I mean, even just right now, I just had someone call me and they're like, hey, can you deliver for me? Can you provide me with 1,000 trays every week? I'll be able to come and pick them. I can easily tell them that, hey, good. Yeah. I mean, someone is going to come and pick them from my store and things like that. It reduces a lot of costs for me. It's just one client, 1,000 trays of eggs. Well and good. I mean, one big client, I'll take this. But the problem with that is that you're going to take up these clients, but these are whores. Let's call them whores. Yeah, these are whores. Yeah, they're prostitutes in terms of clients. Yeah, they only come to you when they have difficulty getting eggs in their area or when the prices are low. And most probably they're going to look for like the lowest price. Yeah, and then when a time comes when the prices drop in another area or the eggs are in great supply, they run away from you and go to another area. And so what's going to happen is that you're not going to have a faithful base. I mean, prostitutes are not a faithful base. Yeah, you don't rely on a prostitute and be like, this kind of person, I trust that this is the person who's going to be with me. No, they're going to look for someone else. For them, it's for financial benefit. Yeah, same exact thing when it does come to eggs. It will be for them, it will sincerely only be financial benefits, and they'll only go for the next person who provides for them, better conditions than you. But if you build a proper base, so just a few customers who you provide consistently for, these are people who are going to be present for you even when the times are really low. So this is something that I greatly advise. Build a proper customer base by being faithful, ensuring that you're consistently providing for them even when the demand is really low, even when the demand is really high. These people will stick around with you for the low time. Now the next tip is deal very well with the feed, because the feed will kill or make you. Very important. Now I want to tell you that your feed cost will be between 70 and 85% of the cost of running your farm. For me in this place, it's about 82%. Yeah, that's the feed cost in my expenses. Feed cost is about 82% of all my costs. Can you imagine how crazy that is? Really, really crazy. Yeah. So if you don't deal with your feed really well, you're going to be in trouble. Now, what are the different things that you actually do when it comes to dealing with feed? Now, one of the things is not making your feed the correct way. The performance of the chickens depends entirely I wouldn't say entirely, but very greatly on how you deal with them in terms of the feed. If you don't give them the correct nutrients, the correct nutrient requirements, everything else is going to go haywire. They won't start laying their eggs on time. When they start laying their eggs, their peak will be very low. So if you expect 90%, you're going to end up maybe at 84%, that would be your peak. And then even when they reach the peak, they'll start dropping off really quickly. So they reach 84%, and then in about 2-3 months, they're already coming down to 75%. So, and then the eggs will be really small, and all those things are things that are not desirable by the market. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you deal with the feed very correctly by giving them the correct feed. Giving them the correct feed means giving them feed that's mixed the correct way. But number two, giving them feed that's not, that's not diseased. Feeds that, have the correct nutrients, but they also don't have sicknesses. They don't have pathogens. They don't have, all this kind of stuff. It is very, very important that you do things the correct way, that you do and implement these things the right way. It is super important. Now, in addition to that, the other way that you have to deal with the feed is with the costing. The prices of feed on the market will keep fluctuating. They'll keep fluctuating. And sometimes the prices double, sometimes they triple. I mean, there's a time that should have been about 2021, 2022. I think the prices of feed like tripled. Yeah, tripled. Can you imagine? Tripled. The price of maize tripled compared to what we had initially been doing. Now, if you didn't have a strong heart, if you are not the kind of person who had planned really well and properly, at that time you wouldn't be in business. You would have gotten out of business, and when you get out of business, it is so hard to get back into business, because where do you get the money to consistently keep feeding the animals? So you have to understand how to deal with this. And how do you deal with the price of feed when it does come to maize, for example, on the market? Buy when the prices are low and store and utilize when the prices are high. Now, of course, the problem with that is that you might not have the money. You might just not have the money. You might not have the ability to, buy and store and utilize when the prices, go high, because probably you don't have storage or you don't have the money to buy in bulk and keep for a really long time. But if you can do it in one way or another, that would be the perfect thing. And it is one thing that I totally believe in. Yeah, buy when the prices are low, keep, store to utilize when the prices rise later on. Now, the next tip is don't waste time doing local chickens. Now, I understand that this can drive a lot of controversy, but local chickens is not typically something that is meant for the business person. Someone who wants to make crazy amounts of money, you want to grow wealthy, you want to grow rich. No, local chickens is not for you. Why is it? It's just because the productivity and the efficiency of local chickens is not something that is scalable. I mean, literally everything around local chickens is just not scalable. You can't do it in great numbers. Let's go a bit into detail with that. Yeah. First of all, local chickens have a very low feed conversion ratio. Yeah. What does that mean? For every gram or kilogram of feed that they consume, their tendency to convert it either into eggs or meat is very low. Very, very low. Yeah. So local chickens, for example, can give you about 80, maybe 100 eggs every year. Yeah. Now, you will find a lot of people who will tell you that, my local chickens gave me eggs for 25 out of the 30 days in a month. Yeah, they can do that, for 1 month, but they can't do it for an entire year. 100%, they can't, yeah? They'll do it, and then they'll skip another month, and then they'll do it, and maybe skip 2 months, and then they'll do it. By that time, by the end of the year, if it is really good, it will have done 120 eggs, yeah? Now, compared to commercial layers that will do that for the entire year, they will literally give you 2, 3, sometimes 4 times what a local chicken can do, yet they are consuming exactly the same amount of feed. It just doesn't make sense, yeah? So their feed conversion ratio, they're going to eat the same exact feed, but their egg production is going to be much less compared to this. Now, in addition to that, when it does come to broilers, for example, in terms of meat production, a local chicken will take forever to get to 2 kilograms. A broiler will do that in just 6 weeks. If you do it really well and feed it really well, it can even take a shorter time than that. So again, for the same amount of feed, a broiler chicken will give you way more weight than local chicken. So it's just not scalable. Now, because the feed conversion ratio for local chickens is really terrible, for you to make it financially viable and to make it efficient, simply means that you need to make sure that you're not feeding them with commercial feed. Now, not feeding them with commercial feed simply means that you have to supplement. Either you're going to free range them, so you just let them move around locally, or you get feed from the outside and all those things. But getting feed from the outside and bringing them, from local places, simply means that you risk bringing diseases onto your farm. That's number one. But number two, having a huge area to feed the local chickens in is really expensive. You're going to need a lot of land. Imagine how much land you need to feed 10,000 chickens. Now, just for the context, you need 1 bird needs 4 square meters, yeah, for you to feed the birds, efficiently. So literally, 10 birds will need 40 square meters, 100 birds, 400 square meters, 1,000 birds will need 4,000 square meters. That's about an acre. Now, that's even not enough. That's even not enough because, an acre for just 1,000 birds will not be enough to give them everything they need. So that's literally you just supplementing, you can imagine, yeah? So if you're going to probably have 10,000 birds, imagine how many acres you're going to need to be able to feed those birds on free range. It's going to be so expensive. So if you plan on, going commercial and getting millions of dollars from the farm, even if it's not millions of dollars, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 every month from the farm, then doing local chickens is just not going to make it. It just won't make the cut. So you need to do it in a better, more efficient way. Now, the next step is that you've got to build a brand, yeah? Now, this is something that is very ignored when it does come to farmers, yeah? It is very important that you build a brand. Now, what the hell is building a brand, yeah? Building a brand is getting to the point where people associate you with something. That's a brand, yeah? When people associate you with something, then you build a brand. It's not about advertising. It's not about the name. It's not about the name Farm Up. It's not about, the color yellow or the color red, yeah? That all doesn't matter. That's not what a brand is. A lot of people have gotten, confused and they don't understand what it means to build a brand. You want it to be in such a way that when someone thinks eggs, they think Dr. Daniel. Or when they say Dr. Daniel, they think eggs. Now, if you do that, and every time someone says Dr. Daniel, they think eggs, then you've done correct branding, yeah? That is branding. You've branded yourself with eggs, and that's what you want to do. When someone says Day Old Chicks, they think Farm Up, yeah? Then you've done correct branding. You understand? So you need to make sure that you do correct branding, and doing correct branding takes a lot of time, yeah? So you need to do it from the beginning. It's going to take a lot of time. You're most probably going to need to make a lot of content, yeah? That's something that you're going to understand. You're going to have to make a lot of free content. You're going to have to be, I would say, very faithful and very diligent in putting this content out, this information out, letting people associate you with particular things. And also, in addition to that, you need to make sure that people don't associate you with other things. You understand? People don't associate you with bad things. You understand? So you need, for example, people associate happiness and excitement with Mountain Dew. You understand? So Mountain Dew is this kind of soda that people will associate with excitement because of the kind of branding that has been placed around it. And it's easy for people who are doing like such kinds of sports or things like that to do that. Red Bull is a very good one, another good one which has branded itself really well. Because when someone thinks danger, when someone thinks, that exciting feeling that puts you at the end of the line, speed, it's either speed or flying up in the air, you're thinking Red Bull. That's just how they have branded themselves, you understand? So you want to make sure that you brand yourself really well. That's how you do correct branding. So the information that you put out, the things that you talk about, all those things are going to drive you towards that brand. And the advantage with that is that later on, when you start charging, first of all, people are more likely to come to you than to other people. Because when they think eggs, they think you. When someone thinks eggs, they think Dr. Daniel. When someone thinks chicks, they think Farm Up. You understand? And that's correct branding for me. So that means that my product is more likely to move. But in addition to that, you're more likely to charge higher prices for whatever you're doing. Yeah, you're more likely to charge 2, 3, 4 times the price that everyone else charges, even for the very same product. Nike will make a shoe that might not be so different from the kind of shoe that someone else makes, but they'll charge, $200 for their shoe, and someone else won't be able to charge $10 for their shoe or $20 for their shoe. They'll charge 10 times the price that someone else pays for the same exact shoe, simply because it has a freaking tick on it. That's all. That's the only difference. But it's because it has been associated with a particular brand, with excitement, with something. I'll give you an example. It's, for example, like, let's Adidas with Messi. Yeah, if you watch football, you understand that Messi is a great football player, and so you want to be associated with Messi. For example, you want to be associated with Messi, but you have no way of associating yourself with Messi. Then you see that Messi wears a particular shoe. What kind of shoe is it? An Adidas shoe. Then you'll be like, whoa, I'll buy this shoe. This is the kind of shoe Messi buys. Yeah. So now you feel like you're associating yourself with Messi because you're buying the kind of shoe that Messi wears. Now Adidas has the ability to charge you 10 times the price that you do with anything else, simply because you associate that shoe with Messi. That's correct branding, and that's what you want to do with your farm. Yeah. Now, because people associate you with something, and they associate you with quality and with beauty and with all this kind of stuff, you're able to charge more times the price. But also because, if Messi can wear that shoe, then you believe that it's a good quality shoe. I mean, why would Messi wear a shoe that's not good quality? Yeah, you believe that it's a good shoe. Then you're willing to pay a high price just to wear that kind of shoe. Same exact thing. Yeah, if Dr. Daniel talks about something, if Dr. Daniel says that he built a farm, he built it this way, he was broke and started a farm and built it this one, all this kind of stuff, I'm more likely to take his information because I believe it, I have seen it, I have trusted it, and trust me, I'm willing to pay the amount of money that he says that you need to pay for whatever that he brings up, because I trust that it will get me the results. Yeah, that is the correct type of branding that you want to do with yourself, with your farm, and with all your kind of stuff, and it brings you the right results. So make sure that you pay focus to branding right from the very beginning. Now the next step is that you've got to empower other people. Yeah, now what you need to understand, it is very difficult for you to build a business and actually become rich and wealthy if you're doing stuff alone. Very, very difficult. I would say absolutely difficult for you to do that. Yeah, completely difficult. So how then do you empower other people? You need to make sure that right from the word go, right from the beginning, you start empowering people. Yeah. So when you're starting out, you're probably going to start with 800 chickens like I started. When I said with 800 chickens, I had just one worker and I was working myself there over the weekends. I would come around, wash stuff, we go inside, we carry things, do all these kinds of things. We get a spade or a shovel, we start mixing the feed. I was involved at the beginning. And then slowly, when I started getting in people, I started teaching them, mentoring them on how to do these things, mentoring them on how to take managerial decisions, mentoring them on how to make these big decisions, these big changes that are very important to be implemented on the farm. It is very important that you understand how to do these things the correct way. If you understand how to do these things the correct way, how to, mentor the people the correct way, how to train them the correct way for them to get the correct information, later on you can step away from the business like I have. Yeah, of course, that alone is not enough. Of course, we're going to talk about some of the other tips, but it is the first step. Yeah, you need to make sure that even when you're away, other people can do the things that you're doing. So if you're going to build something that lasts, something that can work when you're present and when you're absent, then 100% you need to make sure that you train other people, mentor them to do the things the correct way. Yeah? Have the correct people on the farm, build the correct team, build the correct work ethic around the area, let them understand how you do things, let them understand how to fill in reports, how to send you the correct information, all this kind of stuff. You need to make sure that you train them on how to do it, and once they learn, then it becomes quite easy for you to scale it up, because you just need to do more of the very same thing. So mentor other people who will take your place, and then you'll be more likely to scale the business and get better results once you do this. Now the next tip is building systems. Yeah. Now besides mentoring people, in fact, I would say above mentoring people is building systems. Yeah, this is super great. Yesterday I was watching a YouTube video of a guy who does over $2 billion in revenue from his businesses. And this guy has over 10 businesses that he runs. And they were interviewing him and asking him, how do you manage to run 10 businesses? How? I mean, these are multi-billion-dollar businesses. And he just said, I'm a master at building systems. Plain and simple. Yeah, the only way you can scale up and do crazy amounts of money is if you build systems. Now this is something that I personally decided to concentrate on and focus on this farm and on my farms, and it is something that has enabled me to get to this point. Building systems. You need to make sure that you build systems with the correct flow of work right from the very beginning. Yeah, if you can't manage to run a 1,000 chicken farm, how the hell are you going to manage to run a 100,000 chicken farm? How? I mean, that's 100 times bigger. How? Yeah. So you need to make sure that you put in place systems. The advantage that a lot of these other companies, McDonald's, KFC, a lot of these other things, the reason they are so rich and wealthy is because a 15-year-old can go and run a McDonald's. Why? Because it has systems. It's not about the complexity of whosoever is doing it. It's because there are particular systems that have been set in place, and you can actually just follow through with those systems, implement them. As long as someone just has the diligence to actually follow through and implement the systems on the farm, they should work. Now, of course, this is something that I've focused on, even with the Farm Up Academy. For all the people who have joined and they're getting all this information, I've made sure that they understand how to build systems. I actually give them the systems where they just plug in and implement them on their farms, and they bring them the results. So if you don't have this stuff, you have your farm, you're struggling, or you want to start your farm and you want to get this, just plug in. I leave a link to the Farm Up Academy below. Yeah, but you need to make sure that you actually build these systems for your farm. It's what's going to enable you to scale. Right now, I'm seated here on the farm. I mean, I don't remember when I last entered the chicken house. Very honestly, I don't remember. You're seeing me, I'm in an overall, I'm moving all around because of biosecurity and all this kind of stuff. But I take forever to enter the chicken houses. Maybe I'll be passing by and I take a look inside just to confirm that, the guys are actually doing the stuff the right way and things like that. But most of the time, I don't. I mean, I just sit down, pick my phone up, and I'm checking, reports. Waiting for the sales report, waiting for the production report. I'll probably do it every day. At the moment, I do it every day. Later on, I'm planning or hoping to be doing it maybe once a week, and then later once a month, and maybe later once a quarter when I have a lot of other things going on. But that's exactly what you want to set in place, so that it's in such a way that you don't have to do everything yourself. So sometimes I'll step away from the farm for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and I'll still be certain that everything is running well because I have built and put in place the correct systems that ensure that all these things are implemented the correct way. So build these systems, implement these systems, and let them give you the correct results. Now, the next thing you need to understand is that biosecurity is key. Now, what the hell is biosecurity? Biosecurity are the things that we do and the things that we don't do on the farm to prevent introduction of diseases on the farm. These are so important. As you can already see, I've told you guys that I personally don't do so much on the farm. I don't enter the chicken houses. I don't do so much on the farm, like physically running the farm. But as you can see, I'm seated here in an overall, yeah? I'm wearing gumboots, yeah? I mean, I'm just seated down talking to you guys, and I'm wearing gumboots, yeah? I could easily have come with my shoes or anything like that, but I'm following the proper biosecurity measures because I'm seated, I don't know what, 4 meters, 3 meters from a chicken house, yeah? And I could have a disease that I could bring to them. I'm the farm owner, but I care, of course, to ensure that I don't have diseases that come in because they could kill the business, yeah? So you want to make sure that you follow the proper biosecurity. And guys, following proper biosecurity is much harder than you can imagine, but also much easier than you can imagine. You see, we always say that prevention is better than cure. With biosecurity, you're trying to do prevention. You're trying to prevent diseases from coming in on the inside. Of course, the first thing we talked about, just come to biosecurity, is placing the farm as far away as possible from other farms, yeah? That's just one thing. But the other things that you need to think about are a lot of the limiting things that you carry out on the farm, yeah? A lot of the things. Now, with the Farm Up Academy, there are about 25 tips or 25 biosecurity things that you need to implement on the farm. A lot of them really great, but some of the things that you need to think about and the ones that a lot of people make mistakes about is allowing friends and family and relatives and any Tom, Dick and Harry who wants to visit the farm to come over on the farm, yeah? For me personally, a lot of people actually hate my manager and they don't like him. Why? Because they're like, hey, I'm doctor's cousin, I'm doctor's uncle, I'm doctor's grandfather, I'm doctor's father, my very father, and you're not letting me come into the farm? How the hell, who do you think you are? And he'll tell them, well, those are the rules that I have to abide by. Those are the rules that were given to me, yeah? So it is very, very important that the people understand around that the rules have to be followed. You prevent diseases from coming onto the farm that way. Once I went through the very first disease outbreak on my farm, I learned this. And I understood the value of this. Of course, I lost quite an amount of money. I've told you guys, $14,000 I lost with that batch of bats because I wasn't following the correct and proper biosecurity. So you want to make sure that you follow the correct biosecurity, follow all these steps to prevent diseases from being introduced on the farm. Once you do, you minimize the risk and everything goes really well. So follow biosecurity, pay proper attention to it, and you'll have all the best results. And then finally, deal nicely with your neighbors. Deal nicely with the people who are around your area, the people who are around in your place. Yeah? You want to deal very, very nicely with them. And this is quite interesting. I mean, in one way, it feels like bribery or corruption, but it's not. You see, the Bible says that a gift will take you before kings. That's what the Bible says. Yeah, I'm a serious believer in the Bible, but I mean, it's not just the Bible. This is just human psychology. When you give, others give unto you. Plain and simple, yeah? If you're a giver, other people find it nicer or easier to give to you. If you're mean, it's difficult for you to receive because you're mean. So what I usually do when I go to one area is that I'll become friends with the, with the local authorities in the area, become friends with the police people, literally just become friends with everyone around the area. Yeah. Why? Because you never know when the time comes and you badly need them. Yeah. And the way human psychology works is that, for example, if something happens around on the farm and I need help with the security personnel, maybe, the person in charge of security in the area, or the police or something like that, and then we go over to them, and we are a lot of people that they need to deal with. If I've been dealing nicely with them, I've been offering them gifts, I've been giving them all these nice things, they are more likely to come to my rescue, and they will respond to me much quicker than if I haven't been doing all these things. Yeah, so just offer gifts. I mean, once in a while, take them a tray of eggs. Once in a while, take them, you know, all the nice things that you do have around. Just be nice to them. Offer them these nice things once in a while, and you'll be surprised how much these things actually play a role in, you know, you having really good results around the area. Yeah, so be nice with people in the community. I mean, avoid building wars with your community members. When people are stealing from your farm, I'll tell you something quite interesting. There's a while back, the people were stealing eggs from my farm, workers, and the only reason we found out is because neighbors told us. Yeah, now if you don't have a nice relationship with them, they might actually even collaborate with the people on your farm to even steal more. So you want to make sure that you build these nice relationships around. They will ensure the survival of your farm and ensure that you get great results along your entire length of the journey. Now, I believe you found this video very valuable and, you know, great. And I've made another video right here. If you found great value from this video, you like this video, check it out right here. It's about how to actually become a millionaire from poultry farming. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.